Hello wild ones, this is Cole Adams, and today we are going to work with big piles of rust and lots of junk that I usually collect from my beach walks. And when I'm swimming, if there's any iron on the beach, any rust on the beach, I try to pick it up and use it in my art. So I hope you enjoy. It's a weird one, but I like it, both fabric and paper. Okay, I am having a fun experiment this morning. I'm working with a bunch of rusty stuff, some lemon juice, some natural dyes, salt, and papers. And that one's a layer that's, so what I did was I set, these are wet strength tissue, and I set some rusty stuff down, and then I just want it to make good contact, so I'm kind of shoving on it. This is the highest thing on the board. Here are some of the results from the other day, and I'm trying to get a little bit clearer prints, but also I kind of don't mind the half prints. So this is what we've got so far. This is tissue, our tea bag paper, wet strength tissue, just cardstock, fabric, book paper, more cardstock, more wet strength, cardstock, and more fabric. So I'm just kind of making a big bundle. It's supposed to be 90 here today, so I'm going to leave it out in the hot, hot sun covered in plastic and see what we get. Not as dry because I add a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of salt, and then another rusty something. I'm gonna go with this guy, and I'm kind of taking the bent part and pushing it off to the side and leaving the really flat part down. Now I kind of know my width I want, so I don't think these bottle caps are going to give a lot to the top of this paper, so maybe I'll do it this way, kind of like that. And I'm kind of thinking about layout as I do it. I think this circle might come through, but I'm just going to continue to make a stack and then cover the whole thing. I wanted to ask you especially, if you aren't subscribed to this channel and you're liking the work we're doing here, please subscribe. We're so close to 200 subscribers, and I'd love to just keep moving up. I really hoped to hit it in September, but it didn't happen. So here's October. Let's get up above 200. And I wanted to thank you all for your engagement, sending it to friends, obviously leaving comments. All of those things just make a huge difference on the energy level going into this content. And I want to stay so engaged, and I'm loving the work I'm doing here, but I just want to make sure that you all are. Take care. So on the back, I tried to leave a layer of nothing to try to get a really clear print of that. I'm going to do that and the chain together. Maybe I'll do that. Kind of make it the chain I kind of try to lay down if I can get there. Adding some lemon juice acid to the top and some salt. Maybe that too. A little nail. I'm really excited about that piece. It really prints well, but I have to get a really flat surface. So I might do that on this side of the tray. And I'm working in a tray from an old water heater. So I'm going to try another experiment where I have this screw and I want to get a really good print of it. So I'm going to just roll it, the fabric around it. So I'm going to roll that screw up in fabric. I'm going to try that same thing with this piece because its handle also has a really cool print that I saw in my first experiment. So I'm going to try that. And then I've got these strips, and I have this thing I got off the beach. That's where I find a lot of my iron and rust is when I'm beach combing. So I'm going to try that. And I thought maybe a railroad spike. And you kind of have to find the place that fits the best. And then I'll fill in the rest of the bottom paper with some bits and bobs. Maybe that spring will fit there. I kind of am still thinking like equal depth, but it's hard to, when you're working with a bunch of pieces of metal, it's kind of hard to get there. But like fill in with screws. This is just a little chunk of beach rust. I love getting the iron off the beach as well, so it's kind of a tweaker. Old tools. So I literally am just kind of sprinkling. I always want to make sure when I'm trying these out for the first time, I get a little bit on a fabric and a little bit on the paper to see if it changes it. I have some cinnamon sticks I need to put in too, so maybe I'll make a cinnamon stick layer next. Okay, we're at the top layer, and this layer is definitely more weird shaped stuff and heavy stuff. And I do like to cover the plastic with rocks too, so it gets really heavy. But one of the things I've found I like getting a print of, so I do put it in the layers, is my weight that goes in my dye pot. It's called a dumb iron. It's an old iron. I have a bunch of these, and that one was truly trashed, so I picked it up for a song at an antique store. And I'm kind of looking for things that are like super heavy to go into this layer, and kind of big swaths of shapes. And okay, here's the final stack. I did add, I haven't done this before like this, but I did add a layer of a old drop cloth that I wet down to try to kind of make it act. I think actually a sandbag would be the best thing to put on top, but I have all these river rocks and a piece of driftwood. So I'm going to add that, and then obviously this layer of recycled floor plastic from an event I went to, just to get it more greenhousey. It'd be best if I started with it below and then flipped it over so it was like a little actual greenhouse, but it is what it is. I also had this little guy. He's like my meditator that sits on my cold plunge, and I thought he would be a nice add-on. I almost thought this looked kind of like an altar, so I thought I'd make it that way and add the intention that I hope this work turns out well and that the work I make with it touches those who see it and is a blessing in their lives. I also found a troll sock in the middle of my rocks. I'm not sure where that sock came from. I'm guessing my kiddo. So it's part of the altar space. The troll sock and the cooking rusty pile. Hello. It is time to unbundle. It's the next morning. I was gonna go out last night, but our air quality here, because of the smoke, has been not great. Puppy's out here with me, and we're gonna do some unboxing. Hi! Hi, come here. Give me a hug. Thank you, Bubba. Thank you, Bubba, for coming. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna take the rocks off first, and then go on from there. And this was just a wet carrier blanket. I'm not sure it's actually gonna be ready yet. I don't think it got hot enough yesterday. I do like to bring over a rusty container for all the rusty stuff, and I kind of like, for the teeny tiny stuff, to have a smaller, have a tray. This was all the stuff I wasn't sure was even gonna print, and these definitely didn't, so they need to be put, probably scuffed up a little bit. Just have some work to do on those. And these probably could go into a rusty bath, which maybe I'll show everybody that. So I'm just making piles of things that printed and things that didn't print at all. This chain printed. Take the leaf out. These were anote seeds. Maybe I'll just push them off to the side. This guy printed a little bit. Bit of rust. Here's the first sheet. Definitely got some prints, but not a ton. Yeah, I'm gonna let it go another day. I think I'm gonna pull that out because I think I can get a better top print by taking out some of the huge stuff. But I'm gonna put this ring back in and maybe put this chain somewhere else. Quite rusty. So I'm gonna try to check on it tonight so that I have kind of I can kind of keep track. But I think this has a little bit more work to do. Just looking around at it, and I think it could use a little bit more time. The trick I do with cooking sometimes is when I'm unwrapping a bag like this and I know there's going to be bits that fall out, I just work over the pot. So I'm working over the pot to get those little bits out. I'm gonna put a decent sprinkle on. This is usually used not dry, but in a bath. I am outside in a well-ventilated space. The wind is not up. If it was, I might even put on a mask, but I know I'm not really breathing that in. I have a bunch of little bits of rust, so I'm just gonna throw them on there and then put that wet blanket back over the top. This is part of the journey, though. We're back to unwrap for a second time. Should have put that under because look at all that rust. Remove all the rocks first. Okay. Last night in front of the TV, after I did all the treatment of it, I grabbed some pieces that I really loved. I loved this hook. I don't think I even saw it when we were looking through it. This was an like old keyhole plate, and then part of one of those big rings. I took a smaller ring and stuck it inside, and I really love the look of this. Even when I just tried a bunch of different layers of transparency, I put some paper underneath it just to see how transparent it got, and it's just beautiful. I love the look of this. And the old book paper, then I put a piece of the eco printing in there too, and then this is just a piece of fabric that I thought would kind of go with it. But I am really happy with the rust and the nature prints together. What did you think? A big bucket of rust is so much fun. I'm super excited to work with these papers. I have quite a few eco-printed papers, and I'm going to show you one more technique next week that I've been using to print papers, and just I'm really excited to take all of those and build some I've got a couple ideas, and I'm very excited to work on them. Getting ready for another camp this fall, and that's what I'll be doing. I'd love you to take a minute to send me a note on what you'd like to see on this channel. Anything that you, some of you know that I do, that I haven't highlighted yet, and if there's anything you want to learn more about and you'd like me to learn more about it to help, I love to learn. As you can tell, I love to experiment. And I think art is such a great problem-solving place. I hope that you've enjoyed it here. And please like and subscribe. Send it to a friend who might like it. And I will see you next time. Take care of yourself, the earth, and of course each other.